Hey everyone! So 2015 is over, and I'm not necessarily excited that it's over, but I'm excited for 2016, and I figured I would make this video kind of discussing what I accomplished as far as reading goes in 2015 and what is really exciting and upcoming in 2016. So without further ado, here's my year in review. I successfully accomplished my Goodreads goal of reading 100 books, so that's pretty cool. That's about like 2 books a week if you think about it. So that is a lot of books. That's many of the books. But with that, I went through and totaled everything. In those 100 books that I read a grand total of 32,935 pages. That's a lot of pages absorbed by my eyeballs. That's many of pages. But so that's pretty cool. But 2015 was also kind of exciting as far as discovering new authors and new types of books that I like to read and series. So I just kind of want to get into things that I got into in 2015. Now, some of the new authors that I got into this year may not necessarily be 2015 debut authors, but they're authors that I finally got around to reading and have since fallen in love with, and these are just some of the authors that I discovered in 2015 that I will probably insta-buy all of their stuff. Patrick Ness, I recently read The Rest of Us Just Live Here and A Monster Calls, and am never turning back from his writing. It is beautiful and unique and quirky and everything that you want in a mixture of YA and adult books. It's just superb. I also discovered a love for Gillian Flynn, or Gillian Flynn. People say it both ways. I'm pretty sure it's Gillian because that's a normal name, right? I read Gone Girl in 2014, and it is one of my most hated books of all time. And I know that's going to be controversial, but everything about that book, I despised it. The writing, I will admit, was great because it held my attention for the whole thing, but I've never been so angry at the ending of a book. I ranted about that book for a long time after finishing it. So after giving myself like a year apart, I decided to try her other books, and I ended up loving them. I read Sharp Objects and Dark Places in this past month, and I loved them. Her writing is just so dark and disturbing and heavy, and there's definitely some gross out factor in it, and I think that's part of the appeal of her writing, but it just adds to the real gory parts of life in her stories, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to read everything that she writes, whether I'm actually going to enjoy it or not. I'm just so intrigued by her writing now, so I'm glad that I gave her a second chance in 2015. And another author that I read one of her books previously and have since gotten into all of the rest of her books is Elizabeth Gilbert. Elizabeth Gilbert wrote Eat, Pray, Love, which I read in 2013 or 2014, I believe. Loved it, but haven't really given her another chance, and there wasn't necessarily a reason why other than I never got around to her other books. This past year, I did. I read The Signature of All Things and Big Magic by her and love her writing. She's just so well-versed, and her descriptions are just so beautiful and real. Everything that she writes, you just feel like you're absorbed completely in the story. I will definitely be checking out everything else that she writes in the future, thanks to my 2015 year of Elizabeth Gilbert. Now, the next two authors that I mention are authors that are kind of guilty pleasure authors, but they are definitely authors that I have binge read through in this year. One being Colleen Hoover and the other being Jennifer L. Armentrout. I cannot get enough of their books, and I understand that their writing may not be that great. It is not top-notch writing, but it's like candy. You can't stop reading it. And I feel like because of those two authors, I accomplished my 100 goal challenge this year because their books are just so easy to fly through. Along that train of thought, I also discovered new adult. This is a fairly new genre, and I'm really hoping that it goes places in 2016 because I can fully appreciate it. I feel like I kind of have grown out of YA. Not necessarily grown out, but it's not as exciting to me just because I can't necessarily relate to teenagers anymore. I'm 25, and as much as I love reading about teens in some epic story, it's very hard to relate back to high school me through those books. So I feel like the whole new adult genre is kind of designed specifically for people my age. It's for people who are in college or people who are just kind of starting out on life, but they're not necessarily adult books where they don't read in lengthy descriptions. They still have the speed and the intrigue of YA adult, but with more mature content, which I can definitely appreciate coming from a more adult side. So 2015 was the year that I discovered New Adult, and man do I love it. I have accumulated so many New Adult books, and I have flown through so many. They're just so easy to read and relate to. I love this whole new subgenre, and I really hope that it kind of diverges into more different topics other than cheesy romance contemporary books. As much as I love those, I would really like to see more New Adult books about different topics like fantasy and sci-fi and dystopian and paranormal stuff. It would just be really cool to read all of those books from the perspective of like a 21-year-old. That would be way more eye-opening for me than reading it from the perspective of a 16-year-old. So I'm just hoping that 2016 is going to be a really exciting year for New Adult as it takes off. 2015 was also a year that LGBT plus books started to take off. And there have been a few here and there over the years that have come out, but I feel like this is the year that really big movements happened in that community, and the book community is kind of reflecting that. And I really appreciate it that it's not necessarily just like the token gay friend as a side character in a book anymore. I love that it's not a taboo thing anymore. The books are amazing, beautiful stories for more than the fact that there happens to be a gay character in it. And I feel like 2015 was the launching point for that. There were so many good books that came out that just reflected that. There was Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. There was More Happy Than Not. I personally read Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe this year, so I'm gonna lump that in my personal 2015 reading experience. And I just feel like it was so eye-opening to finally have this in our media. And it's just so good to see. So I'm really excited to see where this goes from here. So there were just so many good reading experiences in 2015. I just kind of wanted to go over some things that I've accomplished. I've already done a favorites video if you're interested in seeing some of the books that I absolutely loved this year. I read a lot of series this year. I finished a lot of series this year. And I think my goal for 2016 is to read a lot more. I don't really have a set number that I want to read, but I just want to read way more complete series. I need to get caught up on a lot of series that everybody's really into right now that I just have not even touched yet. I have the Mortal Instruments, I have the Infernal Devices, I have the Throne of Glass series. I just have so many series right now that everybody is just all about, and I have not gotten to it. So I think that's going to be my goal for 2016, is to get caught up on series. I also want to read a lot more kind of adult books. I would like to read way more substantial books and books with history and educating books, so that it's not just kind of mindless contemporary reads that I tend to speed read through to meet reading goals. I want my book challenge to be 100 books, but I want my page challenge to drastically increase from this year, because I want my books to be way more substantial and hold a lot more weight as far as content goes. So I think those are going to be my goals for 2016, is more substance, more pages, and more series. Those are kind of very vague and broad topics, but that's kind of what I'm leaning towards as far as my goals go, because I have proven that 100 books is doable. So here we go with 2016. Good luck. I would love to hear what you guys think about 2015, what you're looking forward to in 2016, and I hope you guys all had an amazing reading year. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting my channel. I also started BookTube, that's another thing. I restarted my channel halfway through this year, and I cannot believe how many of you have subscribed to me. It's unbelievable how many of you love the content that I put out enough to click the subscribe button to see what I put out in the future. That is just mind-boggling to me. So thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you next video. Bye guys.